So this is a video I've wanted to make since I started the channel. This is my favorite LEGO theme, and I've slowly been collecting all of the sets, just missing a few parts now, a few stickers, and that's it. But I really wanted to just kind of summarize the Power Miners theme. Obviously I can't cover every single detail, but I have worked hard to research, to film, and to present all this information on the sets, the characters, and basically the entire story of how LEGO Power Miners came to be, how it all kind of evolved, and eventually how it ended. LEGO Power Miners was an original LEGO theme that ran from 2009 to 2010 alongside others like Space Police, the various LEGO board games, and Castle, which was transitioning at this time to the Kingdoms theme. This was at a time when LEGO had been expanding its themes to include more licensed products, which had become increasingly popular and more lucrative. LEGO Harry Potter was updated with new set designs and even a new game in 2010, which received a sequel 1 year later. Additionally, the LEGO Star Wars theme is doing very well, with sets being released that coincided with Cartoon Network's Star Wars: The Clone Wars TV show. In the following years after the Power Miners theme was discontinued, LEGO released notable themes like Ninjago, Lord of the Rings, Minecraft, Marvel and DC superheroes, and Disney-related licenses, which all have succeeded. But the Power Miners theme wasn't entirely original for LEGO. In fact, it shared many similarities in design, lore, and even logo to the Rock Raiders theme that ran from 1999 to 2000. The Rock Raiders theme consists of 14 sets, of which 8 were the primary playsets. Various comics and books were released for the theme, and even a game for both PlayStation and Windows was published. To summarize, the plot of the theme is that a group called the Rock Raiders is harvesting energy crystals from a foreign planet and encounter creatures like rock monsters that try to prevent them from taking the crystals. Remember this basic plot because it'll come back later. The physical products of the theme include a total of 6 different minifigures that have their own unique appearances. These characters include Axel, Bandit, Chief, Dox, Jet, and Sparks. Only 2 of the sets include the rock monster, the primary adversary of the Rock Raiders. No other sets include any other enemies, despite references within the video games to creatures like slimy slugs, bats, spiders, and more. The creative mining machines and unique plot of the Rock Raiders didn't last long. Sets were released for only a year, and Rock Raiders was a victim of the severe financial losses that the LEGO Group suffered beginning in 2000. Nearly 10 years later, the LEGO Group had financially recovered with multiple successful themes and licenses. The Power Miners is an original theme created by the LEGO Group with a similar plot to the Rock Raiders. A group of miners called Power Miners is sent to investigate rumbling from underground, and the group discovers power crystals beneath the surface and the rock monsters that gain power by eating them. And these are what have caused the earthquakes above. So ultimately the lore behind the Rock Raiders and the Power Miners is pretty much the same, except the latter takes place on Earth and has expanded on the character and set designs that the original established. The Power Miners features vehicles and some buildings, but all the vehicles are numbered 1 through 16, so they're all cohesive. It obviously was something that was easier to collect or more incentivized to collect. The orange and green color scheme really made the theme stick out. There are a lot of unique parts because of this color scheme. And I actually think that this color helped distinguish the Power Miners from the Rock Raiders, because the Rock Raiders seem to be very dark and drab at times with the design of the sets, but the Power Miners, you can really instantly see them and recognize what theme they belong to. Power Miners was released in 3 waves, which lore-wise were divided into 2 sections. The first section was Wave 1, which began with small to medium-sized vehicles, and Wave 2, which introduced larger vehicles, a mining station, larger rock monsters, and the king of the rock monsters. The second section was Wave 3. This brought the Power Miners deeper into the earth and introduced new lava monsters and equipment to deal with them. There were a total of 16 construction sets, 3 Polybags, 2 shirts, 3 released web games, and then a collection of shorts, commercials, product videos, and a few live-action mini-movies. Additionally, Power Miners was included in the LEGO The Adventures of Clutch Powers movie that came out around this time, which included other themes like Castle and Space Police in it as well. All in all, there are a total of 6 Power Miners and 12 rock and lava monsters. The Power Miners include Brains, Doc, Duke, and Rex, with 2 additional unnamed characters dubbed Miner and Engineer. These characters have a variety of different appearances. Their torsos, their legs, their heads, their helmets even change throughout the time. Some of them even look similar to each other. We're not going to go through each of the differences, but by the time we got to Wave 3, they were all donning on these new silver uniforms because they were in the lava area. Now, the rock monsters include Meltrox, Boulderax, Glaciator, Sulfurix, Fyrox, Tremorox, Geolix, and the Crystal King. Finally, the lava monsters include Eruptor, Combustix, Fyrax, and Infernox. Unlike the Rock Raiders, the Power Miner sets include many rock monsters with their own colors, names, and multiple forms. Additionally, they have unique features such as the small monster's ability to open their mouths, which can fit both dynamite and power crystals, and the larger monster's ability to throw objects with the switch on their back. Now, like I said, Power Miners is my favorite LEGO theme, and I have spent the past few years collecting all of the main sets. As a kid, I owned the Thunder Driller and the Claw Digger from Wave 1, and the Fire Blaster from Wave 3. The rest of the sets I've collected from secondhand brick shops, eBay, and Facebook Marketplace, so they may be missing some stickers, may be slightly faded, and in one case I am missing a single rock monster. Nevertheless, I want to go through each set briefly, cover some more elements of the theme, and then close out with some final thoughts. Now, the first wave of the Power Miners actually had the largest selection of sets out of any of the other waves, and these were all small to modestly sized sets that were really affordable, and these were released between December of 2008 and February of 2009. Now, first up is the Stone Chopper. This originally sold for $5.99 and includes 31 pieces and 2 minifigures. The figures are the Power Miner aptly named Miner and the Rock Raider Meltrox. The Stone Chopper is a simple vehicle with a wheel in the back, with a rubber tire, and a wheel and 2 blades on the front which spin as it moves forward to make it look like it's chopping up stone. Now, the Stone Chopper has a gem or a power crystal on the side of it, which is supposed to be the power source of the vehicle, and this is the smallest box set of the theme and is actually half the number of pieces than the second smallest set. The second set released from this theme is the Magma Mech, which originally sold for $7.99 and includes 67 pieces and 2 minifigures. The Power Miner is Brains and the Rock Monster is Boulderax. This set is a pretty standard mech like you would see now. It has posable legs and arms. Now, the right arm is a buzzsaw which can be spun from the back to make it look like it's rotating. The left arm is a pair of claws which can be pinched to open and close them, and these are able to hold a rock monster if you want it to. At the center of the mech is a frame which can fit a minifigure and has levers for the operation of the mech. On either side of the torso is a pickaxe and a bundle of dynamite. And then a couple facts about this set in particular is it's the only one to include Boulderax in the dark green crystal, and it also appeared in the LEGO The Adventures of Clutch Powers movie. The third set is the Granite Grinder, which originally sold for $9.99 and includes 94 pieces and 2 minifigures. The Power Miner is Duke and the Rock Monster is Glaciator. This is another small vehicle from the theme, but it's fairly unique as one of the few sets to use tank treads instead of the massive spiked wheels that you see later on in the theme. When the treads rotate, the grinder on the front of the vehicle pops forward and backward because it's attached to a rubber band. On one side of the vehicle is a spotlight and on the other is an axe. And the cage where the minifigure sits can be opened and closed as it hinges on a clip. There is also a container with a chain piece that can be attached to the back of the vehicle to carry crystals. And fun fact, this set shares its name with a Rock Raider set. The fourth set of the theme is the Claw Digger, which originally sold for $19.99 and includes 197 pieces and 2 minifigures. The figures are the Power Miner Rex and the Rock Monster Sulfurix. The primary features of this vehicle are the 2 moving claws on either side of the cockpit and the bucket in the center that can collect crystals. The claws operate separately with a knob on either side of the cockpit that can be turned to raise and lower them, and the angle of the bucket can be adjusted. The cockpit hinges open and fits a minifigure, and directly behind it is a clip that can hold a pickaxe. The other 2 noticeable features of the set are the large spiked wheels that are used in many of these sets, and the area in the back that looks like an exposed engine. The fifth set of the theme is the Thunder Driller, which originally sold for $29.99 and includes 235 pieces and 3 minifigures. The Power Miners are Duke and Doc, and the Rock Monster is Fyrox. This is one of the bigger vehicles of the first wave, and at least to me, one of the defining sets of the Power Miners theme as a whole. The vehicle has 4 spiked wheels, prominent exhausts, and a massive drill, and when the front wheels rotate, the dual-geared system of the vehicle makes the 2 drill pieces spin in opposite directions. There are 2 large headlights in the front, a chain that runs across the side of the vehicle, And in the back cabin where the minifigures sit is a ladder that can be raised and lowered to let them in or on top. And you can kind of peek inside and see part of the gears if you look. And then this is another one of the sets that appeared in the LEGO The Adventures of Clutch Powers movie. The Crystal Sweeper is the 6th set in the series that we're going to be looking at. It originally sold for $69.99, so it's the most expensive of the first wave, and includes 474 pieces and 4 minifigures. The Power Miners are the Engineer and Brains, and the Rock Monsters are Glaciator and Meltrox. The vehicle of the set has multiple features, such as the drill crane on the side, which can be spun around and adjusted. On the side opposite of the crane is an area with an orange motorcycle and a ladder that can be used as a ramp. The set gets its name from the large sweeper on the front center, which rotates to sweep crystals and rock monsters under the vehicle and into a storage bin directly behind it. The vehicle moves on treads and even has a cabin for a minifigure to stand in. The design of the sweeper is very clunky as a result of the large wheel on the front, but it functions fairly well. In addition to the vehicle, the set includes a catapult with 2 boulder pieces large enough for the rock monsters to fit into and be launched. The 7th and final set of Wave 1 is the Boulder Blaster, which originally sold for $26.99 and includes 293 pieces and 2 minifigures. This was a limited edition set, which was a Toys R Us exclusive back when you could look down the endless aisles of all the LEGO they had. But the 2 figures are the Power Miner, simply called Engineer, and he wears a knit cap that does not hide the opposite side of his double-sided head, and the Rock Monster Glaciator. The vehicle moves on treads and has 2 bulldozer blades on the front which can be angled, and the minifigure sits in an area with a metal cage, and the main gimmick of the set is the flick-fire dynamite launcher that extends on the top. It's held together by a rubber band, and you can turn the knob on the side which will flick the missiles forward and slowly move down. It's unfortunate that you can't angle the launcher any more than it already is, but it's understandable because if you were to spin the wheel to launch the missiles, it would automatically adjust where you're aiming, so I understand why they had to make it fixed. Now, the second wave of Power Miners had fewer sets, but were larger and more expensive than the first wave. The 5 sets in this wave were released between May and June of 2009. Because this wave represented the Power Miners digging deeper into the earth, the vehicles are generally larger and bigger rock monsters were introduced in addition to the standard ones. The vehicle number 8 is the Rockstriker, which originally sold for $34.99 and includes 225 pieces and 2 minifigures. The Power Miner is Rex and the Rock Monster is Geolix. This set has many saw blades, large and small, which all spin as the vehicle moves. A large wheel in the back keeps the Rockstriker from falling over, and this is actually 2 of the large spiked wheels put together to form one large one. And the front is very dense in this set. It's very clunky. The saw blades don't always spin well. You kind of have to put them in the right position. But a minifigure fits in the cabin of the vehicle, and there's even a brick-built coffee machine on the inside. And on top of the wrecker is an arm for a net launcher and an arm for a flick-fire bundle of dynamite. Both are separate and work fairly well. The 9th vehicle is the Cave Crusher, which originally sold for $49.99 and includes 259 pieces and 3 minifigures. This was yet another exclusive set, this time sold at Target. And the Power Miners are Duke and the Engineer, and the Rock Monster is Tremorox. The vehicle is rather large and rolls on 6 big wheels and a few smaller ones under the front blades. It's divided into 3 sections which all pivot individually. The front section has 2 blades which spin as the vehicle moves thanks to the rubber wheels beneath it. On one side is a flamethrower, and there's room for minifigures to fit inside the cabin, which has a roof that hinges open and closed. The middle section is simple with knobs on both sides of a catapult that allow you to launch a saw blade forward and into the air, and this saw blade does fit neatly into the catapult. The back section of the vehicle holds supplies and sits on a single plate that can be removed from the vehicle, which is held in there by a clip. The plate holds 2 crates and what appear to be gas canisters attached to a flamethrower, and this cable matches that of the flamethrower on the front section, so it matches and makes it look like this is providing gas to the flamethrower on the front. The titanium command rig is number 10, and it originally sold for $99.99 and includes 706 pieces and 5 minifigures. The Power Miners are Doc, Brains, and Duke, and the Rock Monsters are Tremorox and Glaciator. The command rig is the largest Power Miner vehicle and has 2 modes, mobile and stationary. While mobile, the drill on the front of the vehicle spins much like the Thunder Driller because it does operate on that dual gear system as the wheels spin, and the control room attached to the central body rests upright toward the back. While stationary, the central part of the vehicle can be raised so that the drill points down, and the control room hinges so that it's still upright, and the drill can still be spun manually using a wheel on the side. On the back right of the vehicle is a winch, which can simply be turned to extend a hook. Supposedly this is a zip line for transferring the cage, which we'll look at in a second. On the same side is a crank that when turned raises and lowers a crane platform on the back left of the rig. This platform seats a minifigure and has a crane that can be angled and turned in addition to its own winch that holds a cage. This cage can fit a rock monster inside and can be removed from the crane. On the front of the vehicle on either side are small platforms. The left one has an exhaust tube or exhaust tubes, and the right one can more easily fit a minifigure. Near the middle of either side of the rig are crates which hold pieces of gear, and at the center of the rig is most visible when the vehicle's in stationary mode. It's a research lab with pieces that can hold the cage stationary inside so that they can look at it on the little computer printed monitors. On the top of the rig are two launchers, one that can be turned on a ball joint to fire a net, and another that can be angled with a flick fire dynamite. Numbered number 11 in the series is the Underground Mining Station, which originally sold for $79.99, the second most expensive Power Miner set. It includes 637 pieces and 4 minifigures. The Power Miners are the Miner, Duke, and Rex, and the Rock Monster is Geolix. This set was another Toys R Us exclusive as well. The design of the set centers around the two towers of the station. The tower on the left side of the set is the control tower, which has a base of rocks and translucent pieces which resemble crystals. A crate of food rests on the ground by the lower platform, and the upper platform of the tower has barbed wire and pieces and lights around it in an interior that the figures can stand inside of. The roof of the control room has a flick fire launcher for dynamite pieces that can spin around and be angled. The towers are connected by a zipline cable which carries a bucket up. By rotating the large green wheel in the back or the black knob on the front of the right tower, the cable pulls the bucket up where it eventually reaches a chute. The bucket tips open and releases any crystals inside down the chute, and a small build of a remote-controlled loader can be placed underneath the chute to collect the falling crystals. The rest of the tower is mostly for lookout. It's got translucent light pieces. There's barbed wire pieces, a spotlight that can rotate, things that look like engines and exhausts for the pulley system, and a little panel that a minifigure can use. And finally, this set was featured in the LEGO The Adventures of Clutch Powers movie as well. Now next up is the only non-numbered full-size set of the series, which is the Crystal King. This originally sold for $19.99 and includes 2 minifigures and a posable rock monster. The Power Miners are the Engineer and Duke, and the Rock Monster is obviously the Crystal King. This is the only set that's entirely centered around the Rock Monster build instead of the Power Miners. The monster can pose its feet, legs, arms, hands, head, and jaws. The jaws have pretty much 2 positions, closed, and then there's a partially open / fully open that you can do. It doesn't really work in the partial position. The monster does have crystal-like teeth, and the mouth can hold an entire minifigure inside when it's fully open. The Crystal King is covered in translucent crystals and rock pieces, as well as spikes on his shoulders. And this is the largest rock monster in any of the Power Miners sets and received no equivalent in the third wave. The set additionally came with the drill for a Power Miner to wear on their back, and this drill is able to spin. And the Crystal King was a minor antagonist at the beginning of the Adventures of Clutch Powers movie that LEGO released. The third wave of Power Miners was the smallest, featuring only 4 sets, which were all small to medium in size, and were modestly priced. These 4 sets were released in the winter of 2009, from December to January of 2010. It's unfortunate that the theme developed this aspect of the story just to end unceremoniously. While the sets from this wave were really cool, they weren't anything amazing and somewhat paled in comparison to the sets from Wave 2 and even some in Wave 1. In this wave, the Power Miners received brand new legs, torsos, and helmets, and 4 new rock monsters were introduced, 1 for each set with 1 exception. Interestingly enough, this wave only includes 1 larger rock monster, whereas Wave 2 was primarily about the larger ones. And just to clarify, I am calling them rock monsters sometimes and lava monsters the other. They are technically lava monsters now. They function pretty much the same exact way, but their design is a little bit different, and obviously they're more translucent because they're supposed to be lava. Now the set that's numbered 12, and the first one we're looking at in this wave, is the Fire Blaster. It originally sold for $9.99 and includes 67 pieces and 2 minifigures. The Power Miner is the new silver version of Rex, and the rock monster is Combustix, who is only found in this set. This set's reminiscent of sets from Wave 1, including the Stone Chopper, Magma Mech, and Granite Grinder. It's obviously not a large set, but it fits the theme and precedent for set design. The vehicle has 4 wheels, and the Power Miner sits in the front within a roll cage that can be raised and lowered, and has lights built onto it. On one side of the front of the vehicle is a Flickfire dynamite bundle, and on the other is a water blaster. This blaster is attached to a hose that connects to the water tank in the back, which uses stickers and a translucent dome to look more like a water tank. Now, like I said, all sets except for the Crystal King have some sort of sticker with a number on the vehicle. Obviously, I'm missing some of the stickers, but there is no set numbered 13. It goes immediately to the set numbered 14, which is the Magma Mech. Now, this sold for $19.99 and includes 183 pieces and 2 minifigures. The Power Miner is the Engineer in the new silver armor, and the Rock Monster is Fyrax. This is the second mech vehicle of the Power Miner's theme, along with the Mine Mech. The Power Miner fits in the cockpit, which can hinge closed around him, and behind the cockpit is a water tank, identical to the one in the Fire Blaster, and is attached to a water drill on the left arm, with a hose. The right arm features a mechanical claw that extends forward when pinched to grab a rock monster. Both arms can be rotated and angled on ball joints that click into position. The legs and feet can be adjusted similar to the Mine Mech, though the motion is not as fluid as the ball joints, since the joints on this mech's legs have to click into position. The 15th set is the Clawcatcher, which originally sold for $34.99 and includes 259 pieces and 2 minifigures. The Power Miner is Brains in the new silver outfit, and the Rock Monster is Infernox, who only came in this set. The vehicle can fit a Power Miner in the center to operate the vehicle. On either side of the Clawcatcher are crates which hold various tools, and the vehicle has 4 large wheels and fans and engines that decorate the top. The front features 2 large claws which can be operated by pulling a handle at the back of the vehicle. Doing so closes the claws together and raises them above the vehicle, throwing the figure or whatever into the back holding tank. Now, this translucent tank has a great covering that can open and close, so you can open it, throw something in the back, and close it on top. This is a very bulky build, but it actually works almost all the time when you pick up a rock monster and throw it in the back, compared to some of the other features in other sets. Now, the flagship set of the third wave is Lavatraz, which sold for $49.99 and includes 381 pieces and 4 minifigures. The Power Miners are Doc and Duke, both in their silver suits, and the rock monsters are Eruptor, who only appeared in the set, and Fyrax, who is the only repeat lava monster in Wave 3. This set is one of the few non-vehicle-centric sets in the Power Miners theme, though it does include a small vehicle, but it's not the main focus. Lavatraz centers around containing Eruptor, the only large lava monster in the theme, which functions similar to the ones from the Wave 2, but he does have a new mold. The cage has features that allow it to be broken, and a rock near the base has a similar one that reveals a crystal. Above the cage is a crane that can slide left and right and holds a minifigure inside. This crane can be raised and lowered and use its claws to grab the lava monster, though it's very difficult to slide it along this track. On the platform next to the crane is a vending machine. This is kind of random to include, but the function's really cool because if you insert the included money tile, a can will drop out of the machine. This can be reloaded into the drink machine, which you can see through a translucent piece, and repeated. A ladder leads down to the lower platform, which really only holds these plastic balls, and these balls are fired by a standalone tower, which can be operated by a minifigure. When pinched, similar to some of the Bionicle characters, the tower fires the ball forward. Now, the vehicle included with this set is kind of frustrating because it's numbered 16, but I believe it's too similar to the Fire Blaster to really kind of stick out. When the wave only includes 4 sets, it's kind of pointless to include 2 very similar builds. And the vehicle is slightly smaller and less detailed than the Fire Blaster. Instead of the roll cage, a figure can sit inside where bucket arms surround him. The bucket on the front can be angled. On the left is a water blaster, which connects to a less detailed water tank by a hose, and on the right is a flick-fire dynamite bundle. On top is a set of lights, and the vehicle has 6 small wheels compared to the Fire Blaster's 4 medium-sized ones. Obviously there are differences, like this set has a bucket and the other doesn't, but it would have been nice to see an entirely new build, something unique and creative here. Now, some of the sets from Waves 1 and 2 had cool features where they could be combined to form new, larger, or slightly different vehicles. These builds were referenced in the building instructions. However, the instructions for the combinations themselves could be found online on LEGO's website at the time. Now you can find most of these instructions through various places on the internet, though there are some which are very difficult to find. It was also really cool that LEGO actually encouraged people to combine their sets into something new and interesting, and I like that they gave you that option and they even included instructions to kind of guide you along that way. The first one we're going to look at is the Cave Cutter. This utilized the Stone Chopper and the Mine Mech. The back of the vehicle mostly resembles the Stone Chopper, still using the roll cage and back wheel, while the front is mostly a jumble of posable machinery parts from the Mine Mech. The front does not roll on wheels, but features 2 pinchers and 2 buzz saws, which can be posed. And the very front has a rotatable buzz saw that the front end rests on. Next is the Aeroshredder. This is a combination of the Granite Grinder and the Thunder Driller, which form to create 2 separate vehicles. The ground vehicle has tracks on either side and 1 large wheel at the front center. A roll cage at the top seats a minifigure, and beside it is what appears to be a launcher or a storage bin for a crystal. On top of the vehicle is an arm similar to an antenna with a drill piece protruding forward. This arm with the drill can attach to the flying vehicle using 2 chain pieces. The flying vehicle has 3 engines with 1 on either side and 1 in the center and the back. A minifigure can sit at the front of the vehicle enclosed by 2 ladders. Honestly, this whole build seems moderately worse than both of the sets, definitely the Thunder Driller, and it's very difficult to play with. You have to be carrying it, and it's very difficult to sit them down. Next is the Crystal Crawler, which is a combination of the Claw Digger and the Crystal Sweeper, and ultimately comes out to be a pretty great alternate build. The vehicle sits 2 minifigures with 1 on either side in the front, enclosed within a roll cage. At the very front is a loader which can be angled and raised with an arm. On either side of the loader are claws which can be angled inward to grab objects, and the front operates on treads while the back moves on spiked wheels. In the rear of the vehicle is a bucket which holds crystals or rock monsters, and this bucket is on an arm which can extend very far backwards. The function of this is honestly not really practical or useful, and it makes the vehicle look strange. But when it's in its main position, the loader can dump objects into this bucket. This is probably one of the best alternate builds out of all the official ones that Power Miners had released. Next is the Rubble Rescue Rover. This is probably the worst downgrade of all the alternate builds, and it only requires 1 set, the Underground Mining Station. This alternate build takes one of the few stationary or base sets and turns it into a vehicle using only a fraction of its parts. The vehicle has a loader on the front and uses rubber tires to move. And a minifigure can sit in the center to operate the vehicle, and there's a spotlight in the back that can be angled. Ultimately, there's not a real reason to convert the mining station unless you're trying to save space, because this build doesn't look the best and doesn't really compare in function or looks to the station at all. The next one is the Rockstriker, which is an interesting alternate build for the Titanium Command Rig, which had its instructions available on LEGO's German Building Tips and Ideas page by typing in a specific code. This alternate build is one of the nicer looking ones with a large front wheel and 2 back wheels, a cabin for a minifigure, and a crane in the back. Unfortunately, this requires you to significantly downsize the Titanium Command Rig, missing out on quite a few features and being left with plenty of extra parts. Next is the Blast Roller. This is another alternate build for the Titanium Command Rig. The instructions were released in a late 2009 edition of LEGO's Brickmaster magazine. Like the last build, this design has 1 front wheel, though this one is significantly longer, and 2 on either side in the back. There's a large cabin for minifigures to operate the vehicle, and posable arms on either side. One even has flick-fire dynamite missiles. It's unknown whether or not there are enough pieces to build both the Rockstriker and the Blast Roller with a single titanium command rig. However, based on the visual of the pieces there, it looks like it might be possible. If so, I would say that building these two vehicles would be a pretty cool way to convert your titanium command rig if it's too long and you don't have the space for it. And then lastly is the Cargo Crusher, which is an alternate build of the Granite Grinder. This one's a little weird because its instructions were supposedly only found somehow in New Zealand, and given the piece count and design of the original set, there's not much room for change or innovation here. The main change is that instead of the drill piece on the front snapping back and forth, it now spins when the vehicle moves. I guess if you don't like that aspect of the Granite Grinder, you can switch to this alternate build, though it's very difficult finding any instructions online. You mostly have to eyeball it. Now, a few other things worth mentioning is there was a Power Miners 3-in-1 Superpack that was released in 2009, and this included the mining station, the Granite Grinder, and the Claw Digger all in one. Additionally, Power Miners had 3 Polybags, one that was only available in Europe that sold the Rock Monster Sulfurix and a comic book inside. It was never released in the United States. The other is the Rock Hacker. This one was released in December of 2008, and it included just the miner figure and a small vehicle. And then finally is the Monster Launcher, which released in December of 2008, which included a catapult and the Sulfurix minifigure. And finally were 2 long sleeve Power Miner shirts, one in lime and one in orange, obviously matching the color scheme of the Power Miners theme. This is really cool, and I really want to get my hands on one of these. But it's cool that there were also apparel items that you could buy, and it even looks like on Bricklink that they sold 4 different pairs of jeans as well. Additionally, LEGO Power Miners had one of the best websites ever. It had 3 games that were released and a 4th one that was canceled. So you had Rock Rocket, Cave Convoy, and Lava Showdown. There were also little mini movies. There was an actual movie that was released to promote the theme, and then there were even live actions filmed with people in rock monster costumes. There was a lot to do on the website, not just building the sets, but when you came to the website, you could come and you could enter in, codes to get those alternate building instructions. You could play games, you could watch movies. There was a lot to do, and it was more than just the sets. In my opinion, LEGO Power Miners is one of the greatest original LEGO themes that's existed. It took the Rock Raiders and it expanded upon it, flushing it out with more characters, more vehicles, and it really kind of defined itself with its design and its color scheme. I think that the set started really strong with Wave 1 and continued into Wave 2, but I think it's evident by the time Wave 3 came out that it was losing steam, and I think the change toward lava monsters and changing all the uniforms and kind of the color scheme was too significant, and it was kind of a little bit off theme. I think it's also evident how the prices dropped in Wave 3, so the Wave 2 sets that were all mostly pretty expensive kind of probably hurt the theme as well. And these sets were really great play sets. They had a lot of feature, a lot of variety in how each vehicle worked, but they're also really great for display too. They're very unique, and you can tell just by the color scheme and the design what theme you're looking at. LEGO Power Miners was such a creative and iconic theme, and it ended so abruptly that it'd be really nice if through the Ideas program or something else, we could get one last final set. And that's the LEGO Power Miners theme. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and let me know what you think about it, and I'll see you next time.